Welcome to the 6th installment of the Midwest Mini Adventures Santa Fe Trail series. We began our visit to the Mahaffey Stagecoach Stop and Historic Farm by visiting the Heritage Center. It was a delight to discover this remarkable timeline. It includes events of both national and local importance to help visitors acclimate to the significance of this historic location, and of course, this location's ties to the Santa Fe Trail story. It was exciting to realize that we were about to explore the only working stagecoach stop left on the Santa Fe Trail. We were greeted by the sight of an actual stagecoach. Plan ahead if you want to catch a ride in a reproduction Concord-style coach or an original mud wagon style of stagecoach. The Mahaffeys moved to this location in 1857 and lived in a wooden frame house until the stone house was completed in 1865. 1865 is the same year that Abraham Lincoln began his second presidential term of office. Soon after came the end of the American Civil War and the assassination of President Lincoln. This spot serviced the Barlow, Sanderson and Company stagecoach line as a stop for passenger coaches. We couldn't resist a ride, but if you watch the straps on the side of the wagon, you'll get a bit of an idea of just how bumpy a stagecoach ride could be. Drawn in by the sounds of the blacksmith shop, when the stagecoach returned, we just had to stop by for a visit. We walked over to the Agricultural Heritage Barn. Here we viewed a Concord-style stagecoach and a reproduction of a chuck wagon. The Mahaffey family began serving travelers in 1858. By 1864, coaches began stopping as well. From 1865 until 1870, travelers dropped by for a warm meal in the basement of the home. Lucinda Mahaffey, her daughters, and hired help served as many as 50 to 100 meals a day. When leaving the Mahaffey house, you'll pass by this beautiful mural by artist Quan Wu, Going West on the Old Santa Fe Trail. Welcome to Lone Elm Park. This 155-acre park is the perfect example of multiple trails intersecting on the way to the west. Originally, the Santa Fe Trail campground was known as Round Grove, but thousands of travelers over 4 decades slowly depleted the site's resources. The first of 4 interpretive panels, The Roads to the West, highlights the multiple trails that converged on this location. The second panel discusses the perfect elements for a trail campground: grass for grazing, running water, and ample firewood. Documented in an 1849 journal.
A few currant bushes are scattered along its banks, but no other tree in sight. and this old tree will never put forth its leaves again. The hunters have long since robbed it of nearly all its branches, and the numerous parties who have encamped here this year have nearly stripped it of its bark also. And the lone tree of the prairie will soon form a landmark no more. D. Jagger, 1849.
This campground hosted thousands of unknown travelers, but a few key names stand out among them. This final panel discusses changes to this location after the dusty days of the trails. Newton Ainsworth turned this campground into his farm. He was so proud of his home that he had postcards printed to hand out to family and friends. Our next location on the trail is Gardner Junction Park. While this spot may seem small, it is packed with historical significance. Here, the three trails, the Oregon, the California, and the Santa Fe, split apart. Travelers and traders on the Santa Fe Trail continued heading to the southwest, and many homesteaders turned northwest towards the Oregon and California trails. These large interpretive panels highlight additional portions of the trails. This first map identifies many locations to the east. The second panel features locations to the north along the Oregon and California trails. And the third panel tempts us westward to additional sites along the Santa Fe Trail. It's a casual short walk to view additional interpretive panels placed amidst this prairie backdrop. While reviewing the history of how rapidly railroad transport replaced the rustic trails is a panorama of the current-day railroad bustling by in the background. This next panel reminds us of yet another layer to the history of this area and to the trails to the west. While the western expansion was a dream for many, it also drastically depleted resources vital to the Native Americans. The panel titled Following Their Dreams discusses some of the hardships faced in this push to the lands beyond the Rocky Mountains.
We took the Oregon Road instead of that to Santa Fe and went 12 miles before we discovered our error. In returning, 2 of our wagons broke down, which we were detained 2 days until July 4th. We at last got fairly on the Santa Fe route. Lucian Easton, 1846.
This final panel, The Eye of the Needle, emphasizes just a few of the many stories documented in the journals of those passing through this historic site. Our final destination is just a short drive away to visit the Lanesfield School Historic Site.
Listed on the National Register of Historic Places from 1821 until the late 1860s, this area, including the former town of Lanesfield, served as yet another stop along the Santa Fe Trail. Constructed in the 1870s, directly across from the schoolhouse, on the land where the town of Lanesfield once stood, the Dill family's home and the story of the family became forever entwined with the Lanesfield School. In 1858, as a sign of troubles to come, the Free State town of Lanesfield was established directly across from a pro-slavery settlement. The stone schoolhouse was constructed in 1869. In 1903, lightning struck and the schoolhouse burnt to the ground, but the stone structure remained. The school reopened in 1904 and continued until 1963. In 1967, the school became a museum. If you would like to visit the schoolhouse and the visitor center, they are currently open to the public on the second Saturday of each month. While the Battle of Bull Creek may appear small in scope, the battle tactics used to win the day is the stuff that legends are made of. And again, Wild Bill Hickok, who has appeared in previous videos in the series, was on the scene that fateful day. The town of Lanesfield faded into history as the rails passed them by. But the historic significance of the site and the one-room schoolhouse still stand as a testament to those early Kansas settlers. A visit, including the interior of the schoolhouse and the visitor center, is worth the effort to plan ahead. The visitor center focuses on the history of education in the area. Sections include details on the curriculum, a typical day, as well as the lives of the students and the teachers themselves. We hope you have enjoyed this series focusing on the small but essential portion of the Santa Fe Trail, where many began their months-long journey. We are grateful for the many resources available and the generosity of many who work to preserve these historic locations. Please like, share, and of course subscribe. More Midwest Mini Adventures videos will be coming soon. We hope you'll join us on the next adventure.